We're joined again by our friend Todd Burkdoll, Field Market Development Specialist with Valent U.S.A., and today we're talking a bit about insect growth regulators. And now with temperatures already hitting triple digits in some parts of the state, that can mean more pest problems for growers. And so let's get into a few IGRs that become pretty important for growers about this time of year and how they function.
Well, Brian, insect growth regulators are basically insecticides that stop the biology within the pest. They're not acutely toxic, but in the case of steam ant bait, it's not acutely toxic to the ants, but it is very much toxic to the nymphs, the eggs, and the queen. She sterilizes the queen, and so everything she lays is sterile from that point on. So it's kind of annihilation of the whole colony, but it's not like a organophosphate or carbamide pyrethroid material that goes in and just kills them. This is they grow through it, and as they grow, they don't grow. Basically, they stop the chitinase in their bodies, and it mimics the juvenile hormones. They stay juvenile, but their bodies go bigger, and so they die them that way. It's kind of terrible when you think about it, but ants are a pest in almonds, pest in a lot of crops actually. They're, symbiotic relationship with mealybugs in citrus, in grapes, in pistachios. And if you can take out the colony early, you've effectively did yourself a big favor down the road. Whereas an acute toxicity, something that kills them like a pyrethroid or carbamate or organochlorine, whatever, they would kill them, but they wouldn't kill everybody. And typically, you wouldn't get a complete kill. With the IGRs, you get basically a complete kill with a steam ant bait on ants. So it's a good way to go after them. And then for mites, the temperature they're heating up, supposed to be 100 by Wednesday this week. So that'll turn on if there's any females that are laying eggs out there. Those eggs will hatch, and the nymphs will come out and they'll start reproducing with heat. They have a very high fecundity with heat. So you're going to expect to see mite populations on the rise. A good time to get them is on the front side rather than the back side. An ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. And there we have an IGR as well. Zeal, a miticide, basically stops them from going from one nymphal stage to the next. And very effective. Doesn't kill the adults, but the eggs that are laid are killed or sterilized. They won't hatch, and then the nymphs don't go from one stage to the other. So it's a different chemistry than the active ingredient in the steam ant bait, but it works very effectively on mites. Similar, but not the same mode of action.
Essentially, it's you're not taking out the current population that's out and walking around in orchards, but you're preventing it from further proliferating and blowing up, especially in instances of mites where those populations can get out of control pretty quickly. This kind of just puts a line in the sand and says, all right, we're not going any further here.
Yeah, it doesn't kill the adult. The adult that's already, they're not gonna molt to another stage. They're already reached their maximum. They're adults. They're adult mites. It won't kill them, but it will sterilize the eggs. The eggs will be sterile, and then the nymphs won't molt to the next stage. They basically grow out of their exoskeleton, and they burst, and it's lights out for any of those nymphal stages. The queen, the eggs she lays typically are sterile. It is a contact material, so it needs to come in contact with them. So good spray coverage is absolutely essential to getting good efficacy with both these products. The steam ant bait, they're carrying it back, they're feeding it to the babies, and so that they're ingesting it that way. But with the Zeal, you need to get good spray coverage, and to the degree you get coverage is basically to the degree you get kill. Again, going on early is better than trying to put out a raging army of mites late, because then you've got all different stages, and they're going to the adults will continue to feed. Sometimes they live for several days after, before they cycle out. So it's not a fast material either, too. Some guys say, I sprayed Zeal, and it's been 3 days and there's still mites running around. There will be adult mites still running around until they cycle out. The mite life cycle is not very long, very high fecundity though. So they produce a lot of eggs, and it's correlated to temperature. When temperatures go up, mite populations can go exponential very quickly.
So just something to keep in mind there that, just because you're seeing some of these pests continue to move around, it can take a little bit of time to be effective, but just because you see those pests still doesn't mean that your application wasn't effective. It's just got to go through that cycle there.
Correct. I usually say give it a week, come back and look at it in a week, and you're going to see a lot of dead nymphs and eggs that are black, and you might see a few adults still running around out there, but for the most part, if you got good coverage on the spray application, it's pretty much lights out for the mite population for a good 2 to 3 weeks after application. Now, other mites can move in, the product doesn't last forever, so they can move in and start the process over again. But the population that's out there that gets hit with that application is definitely affected. And like I said, the eggs and the nymphs is what are being affected. The adults, not so much.